First came The Chosen, and then Sound of Freedom. And now from Angel Studios comes The Shift. It hits theaters on December 1st. And I have that film's producer, Ken Carpenter, and his star, Kristoffer Polaha, with me on CIA Contagious Influencers of America.
And that idea of like every time we make a decision, this new version of us branches out and there's a new world that we exist in, and the idea. So it's a brilliant story. It's a really hard, it's not an easy pitch. There's no elevator pitch. But I guarantee you, based on his experience with trauma and grief, based on the book of Job, where you see this character just get hammered and God allows it to happen and we're tested, but then obviously Job, gets back. You see this thing and it takes place in the movie.
Kristoffer Polaha stars along with Neil McDonough, Jason Marsden, and Sean Astin in the thriller The Shift, coming to theaters on December the 1st. And of course, you probably recognize Kristoffer. He was one of the stars in Wonder Woman 1984, Jurassic World Dominion, Mad Men, and he is a staple on the Hallmark Channel. He's on there all the time as in one of the starring roles. So he's what a cast this is. What a movie. It comes from our friend Ken Carpenter, and of course, Angel Studios, who brought us Sound of Freedom, His Only Son, The Chosen. I mean, these guys are hit makers, and this movie comes to theaters on December 1st. It's a thriller. It's a drama. It will keep you on the edge of your seat. Let's take a look.
This is not my world. I've never been to this lake before. Never walked its shores. But I will find my way back. And I will find my way back to my Molly. 5 years ago, I was left in this dark place. Taken from my wife. The people here have no hope.
You still looking for that wife of yours? You're clinging to scraps of rumors.
And then he arrived.
Where's my wife? I shifted her. For every choice you make, there are countless other realities where you make a different choice. You're talking about parallel Earths. Imagine having the power to move people from one reality to the next, to shift them. What do you want with me? I can make you a king. Imagine everything you have ever wanted. Work for me and get back with the woman that you love.
Okay, we go on a date and maybe we kiss.
Hopefully.
He's not gonna shift you back to your wife. It's a trick.
If I choose you, that's the last choice I'm ever gonna make.
I will never leave you alone.
I've seen a bunch of people like us out there looking for a little hope.
There is nothing that I won't do to you. You can't just shoot the devil.
There is so much evil and inhumanity in this world, but there is also beauty and hope, and I will find my way back to her.
Now let's go to my interview with Kristoffer Polaha and Ken Carpenter. Welcome to the homestead, you guys.
Thank you.
Ken, you want to get closer to your mic? You're supposed to know these things.
It's your show, David. Your show.
So, first of all, I got to congratulate you on this trailer that we just saw, because I have to tell you, the first trailer I saw, I honestly thought, what are they thinking? Right? This one blew my mind, and I can't wait to go to the theater.
It's great. That's exactly the response we were hoping for.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And but I have to ask you, How in the world? I mean, was this a bad dream one night of the screenwriter? I mean, how did he come up with this concept?
Yeah, it's remarkable, isn't it? It's someone. I got a call a year and a half ago and said, "You're going to want to buckle your seatbelt. I'm going to send you a script, and I'm going to introduce you to a writer-director." And I saw right away, David, that well, not a bad dream, but a very fascinating dream.
Fascinating.
And I knew it would be just such a unique path in to unpacking things related to the faith and important sidebars of romance and allegory. And it all fused together in really a way that I had never seen before. And I hope audiences are going to find that really interesting. I think so. And we got a good trailer.
Nothing else. They've got a free.
Usually we say trailers lie, right? How many times have they stolen our $18?
Right.
And the movie never lived up. But I think we're onto something that's going to be new and different.
Yeah.
Now, I heard that this is based on a biblical story.
You heard right. Yeah, it's the Book of Job, set in a multiverse. If you can wrap your mind around that concept. You asked Ken, was this based on a bad dream? And I don't mean to go here on your show, David. So forgive the sidestep in. But Brock actually experienced, and he's written a book about it. So I'm not talking out of school.
This is the director.
Yeah. So Brock Heasley is the writer director, and he's a graphic artist. So he understands story in visual, really quick, like haiku, pop, pop, pop visual, right? So when Ken called me and said, we got a first-time director, of course the antenna goes up, and I thought two things. One, if there's a vacuum, that'll be a fun way to step in. I didn't need to. But two, when he said he was a graphic artist, I was like, you know what? I think he could basically storyboards, a graphic artist. It's the same thing. So, but Brock, his father, and this is where it goes a little deep, when he was 13, was shot. So he experienced some sort of intense trauma, and then he ran a pawn shop. And then 5 years later, when Brock was 17, his father was killed by gunpoint. So Brock had this unbelievable, and a kid of faith, right? And he had to ask, why, God, did you let this happen? So the way that he processed his grief and his trauma was through this story. And to hear it all start 8 years ago with a pitch and a short $500 film, Angel Studios comes along. He has this opportunity sitting into the guild, and it literally took 8 years to get it to the point where we all just kind of jump in and take over and say, hold on, let's do it this way, this way. But here's this guy who used art to express his love for his father and the grieving process. And really, when I read the script, I was standing in a tuxedo at Biltmore House. I was filming a Hallmark movie called Biltmore Christmas. Check it out, November 26th, only on the Hallmark Channel. It's going to be a big one for them. And I was standing in this tuxedo, huge mansion behind me, and Ken called me. Ken and I had worked together on Run the Race, Tim Tebow's film, a few years ago, and Ken and I became fast friends then. And he called me and said, hey, will you read this? And in an hour and a half, I flipped through my little phone, page by page, and it's a fever dream. And if you read it, you're like, wait, what? Because it is a multiverse story about a guy shifting, like every time you make a choice. And here's the line that sold it for me. Do you ever have a conversation with somebody and they're like, well, you said, and you're like, well, I didn't say. And you're like, yeah, you did. You said you were going to pay the bills. You're like, no, I didn't. Well, in this story, the idea is that there was a version of you that did say, and you've been shifted. And when I read that, I was like, how many arguments with my wife have I had where she's like, you said you were going to do the thing. And I was like, and that idea of like every time we make a decision, this new version of us branches out and there's a new world that we exist in. And the idea, so it's a brilliant story. It's a really hard, it's not an easy pitch. There's no elevator pitch, but I guarantee you, based on his experience with trauma and grief, based on the Book of Job, where you see this character just get hammered and God allows it to happen and we're tested, but then obviously Job, gets it all back. You see this thing and it takes place in the movie. Sorry, I just ran on a long time. No. Sorry, a little long-winded there, but
you're right. You can't pigeonhole the shift. There's not a easy, football coach wins state championship and saves his marriage kind of thing to it. It's kind of complex.
Or a man is willing to go to the ends of every universe to get back to the love of his life.
Well, that's not bad.
We could do that.
So let's talk about this process of getting this made, because, as you said, this was originally a short film, and that we've had Neil Harmon here a couple of times, the CEO of Angel, and he's explained the whole idea of producing a torch.
Yep.
You know, he's not accepting script, so to speak. You got to go out and prove the concept, right? When did you see the short film? And how did you take this to Angel? How did that all happen? Because Dallas Jenkins also involved, right?
Dallas is one of our executive producers.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. The point at which I intersected with the movie was after the torch was made, and the scope of the shift was growing, and they wanted to bring in someone that had been around the block a few more times, and so that's when I got the call to read the script, meet the writer-director, and to look at the short film. And it was just starting to generate some enthusiasm in the crowd, the guild at Angel. And it's been a whirlwind since then. I think how long did it take us to make this?
5 weeks.
Yeah, we shot for 5 weeks at the top of this year and are releasing December 1. So I guess in that sense, it's come together quickly. But there was about a year before that, David, of further incubating. But Brock, as Chris said, had been at it for several years before then.
The thing I love about their proof of concept is that they take it to this guild, so there aren't people in the ivory tower making these decisions. It's real people talking about what they really want to watch. Do you like that concept?
Yeah, theoretically, if you have the gumption to make something. And you can put it in front of this guild. Yeah, it's an incredible, because it's basically you're going back to the people. I think the idea was the guy who designed the Statue of Liberty used crowdfunding to build it in France, and it was a gift from France, but it was actually crowdfunded by Angels. And I think their idea is the same thing. It's like if you want to see the piece of art, which is a great idea. It's a fantastic idea and concept.
It certainly gives you a jump on selling tickets, because there's a buy-in already from people who have a vested interest.
Yeah.
As you've heard in Hollywood a time or two, from your lips to God's ears, David.
Right. Well, I think your pre-sales are pretty good so far. Yeah. What I'm saying.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the movie itself in regards to first of all, when I saw a sci-fi picture with this premise of faith mixed in, I'm like, this is something that we haven't really seen before. Yeah. So are you a little nervous, or is it what makes you so confident in this, that this is going to work?
What made you think we were so confident?
We're here talking about it.
No, you know what? We're proud of the story we've crafted.
Yeah.
And think it has shaped up very handsomely. You can't be in this business, David, and not have an awareness that anything could happen. Until the team takes the field on Sunday afternoon, right? The verdict's out. At the very least, I think audiences will appreciate that it's like I said earlier, a fresh path in to unpacking things of the faith. I think we've delivered that in a really interesting way,
unique way.
So I want to talk a little bit about your backgrounds a little bit. Here, I'm going to move that.
Thanks.
He wants you kissing that thing.
Yeah.
Get in there.
I want to talk about Kristoffer. Let's talk about you.
Sure.
You're a family guy. I've read some things that you purposely accept and reject certain projects based on what your boys are going to think, what your family thinks, right?
Yeah.
And you started making those decisions some time ago. Tell me about how difficult it is to do that in Hollywood.
I think that in one breath it's difficult because you're missing out on opportunities. Horror pictures in particular, there's a certain genre of horror films that I think that delve into the spiritual realm that, frankly, it's almost like a portal, and you open a door and you let stuff right in. And if you don't have the proper armor to guard yourself with, I feel my theory is that film is it's another thing that we ingest, right? We read books, we watch movies, we bring them into us, just like we eat food, just like we listen to music, and what you put in your body affects the overall health of it. And I feel like the same way with our entertainment. And if you're watching slasher movies or intensely perverse sexually movie, like there's certain things that kind of rot you, and it's hard to shake it. You've all experienced it, right? Regardless of your faith walk, you've left something and being like, why is that? I feel like I'm walking out with this. And I just, my wife and I, we talked about it, and early on, I just made a decision that there were certain things that I just didn't want to, be affiliated with. And I think when you look at, I think there's a lot of people who may not be as verbal about it, but like, Clint Eastwood, you expect a certain brand with Clint Eastwood, or, you know what I mean? There's a certain level of, and I just always, if I can put myself in the same ring as Clint, I wanted to make stuff that you could take your family to. I want to make stuff that's hopeful, that's inspirational. I started out by playing John F. Kennedy Jr. My first gig was this TV movie called America's Prince, and I think that set a template for that energy that I wanted to push into the world as an artist.
That was pretty successful.
It did well.
Yeah, it did really well.
40 million viewers that night in the first run. It was a big hit for them.
Unless you're Taylor Swift now, who gets 40 million viewers, right? I mean,
she does. We can talk about Taylor.
And now Travis Kelce
selling
gets
tickets,
40
man.
that's true.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the audience. I think that the thing I love about Angel Studios is that they're saying there's an alternative, and I feel like Hallmark. It's an interesting company. We were just having a conversation today about Hallmark, yes. And when I did a movie, Where Hope Grows, we mentioned earlier, and all of a sudden had tapped into this sort of faith film. And faith films, by the way, if you cut back to 5, 6, 7 years ago, were very much preaching to the choir. And there was a certain patina to faith films. There was a certain level of professionalism, and not overall. There were some exceptions. But then all of a sudden there started this like counter movement, which was like, we're going to make movies. We want to make really great movies, but we also want to make them based in Jesus or based in the Bible, biblical truths. We want to make them based in something that when you walk away from it, you can take that lesson with you, but also have a really great movie, like a Scorsese film or like something on, running in that same lane. And I remember I had a general meeting with Hallmark. It was before I did any of them. I had never seen the network. I've never watched one. But all of a sudden, I realized that the people who are watching Hallmark movies, they get 80 million unique viewers from October to December. It's America. It's the people who just want to watch something with their family, and they don't want to be smacked in the face with an agenda or with a, and not to say that it's like, there's nothing wrong with making entertainment that has core values involved that are just talking to, and that's what I loved about The Shift, is because here it's this movie that really does exceed expectations, and all of a sudden you've got the romance, so there's a little bit of that, but you're dealing with a multiverse, and you're dealing with all of this stuff that you really haven't seen before, and at the end of it, you're going to leave better for it. I mean, it really is one of those movies you're like, okay, if something awful happens in my life and I have hope and perseverance and faith in something that I cannot see, it might work out for me. Like there's that hope of, what does it mean to have faith? I mean, what does it mean to have faith in the life that we live in? And I'm telling you something, you turn on the news, I mean, we do need an escape. We don't need to be hit with it more. And I think that Hollywood used to, when the world was a bit safer and when the world was a bit calmer, I think that Hollywood used to have that wish fulfillment element. And so you'd go see a violent film, or you'd go see a horror film, because you had to, that was the only place you could get it. But now, you walk outside, you read the newspaper, and it's scary out there. And so now I think entertainment is having to fill the need of like, no, let's remember what good behavior looks like. Let's remember what earnest hard work looks like. Let's remember and start watching that again and build those heroes up again. And I don't know.
Well, I always felt like when I was in the old days when I put Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy on, it was escapism.
Yeah.
It was an oasis.
Yeah.
For all the people that wanted to get away from the noise.
Yeah.
And so I know exactly what you're talking about, and I think the Hallmark movies do that. And I also read someplace that was it your grandma thought that you really made it when you got on Hallmark? Is that
no kidding? God rest her soul. She just passed on 2 years ago. But Nanny, my mom's mom, she was like, "Well, you finally made it." I mean, I'd been in Hollywood for at that point, I think close to, 18 or 19. I had 7 TV shows. I'd done movies. I mean, I was working. And in her esteem, at that point, I had made it. I was big time because I was on the Hallmark Channel. She was so proud. And I mean, I love it working for Hallmark. I started co-authoring romance novels with Anna Gomez. We've got 2 books published, Moments Like This and Where the Sun Rises. Forgive me for shilling my books right now on your show. But it's this audience. They're as fervent and as passionate and as loyal as any DC movie you'd ever want to be a part of, any Marvel like fanboy. These fans, and they're women, and I always joke, it's literally the same audience that Elvis had. It's like these women they just love who they love, and they show up at the Christmas cons, they buy the books, the movies. We'll see what happens with the ticket sales.
They'll show up at the shift.
Yeah, I mean, they're already very supportive of it. So it has been this unbelievable blessing that God put in my life. And to be really honest with you, your listeners are going to think I'm crazy. My wife did. I was at WME, so big agency, and I was offered a role in a Dolly Parton movie of the week, and I hadn't done one yet. And I was like, I don't know that I want to do movies of the week yet. I don't think I want to enter into that world yet. And I regret that. If Dolly's listening, I would love to have a second chance at working with you. But I do regret that. And then I think it was a year later where I did it was called The Dater's Handbook with Meghan Markle. And of course, within that year, she met Harry, and that movie sort of was shown all over the Commonwealth and an introduction to who she was. It was because before Suits had streaming, I guess, rights, but it was a really amazing door that God just took me through. It was like, trust me. And I needed it. I have 3 kids at home and a mouth to feed. And so when I was given that offer, it was something that I was like I had to take it. We've all been in those situations, but I'm so grateful that I walked through that door. It's been just this unbelievable gift that I couldn't have planned for it.
Well, it's a crazy market. Years ago, we have a domain, lovestories.com.
Okay.
And but years ago, I acquired that domain, and it was I had actually done a deal with Fox to do an anthology series called Love Stories.
Yeah.
And but the showrunners I acquired this domain, and the showrunners got fired. They were the original showrunners on that worked with they got canned, and so the whole show went down the drain. But I had this domain, so I started going to the Romance Writers of America convention.
Yeah.
And it was all these women that read romance novels.
Yeah.
Right? That's what romance novels, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, thousands of them.
Thousands.
Right?
Yeah.
It was just amazing. And they're all Hallmark people that, level Hallmark movies.
Yeah.
So you're doing, so how many books are you going to do?
So we're going to do 5 total. We've got 2 out right now. You can buy them right now. Third one is 90% finished. It'll be available next Christmas. And then Ann and I are going to do the second, 4th, and 5th of the From Kona with Love series by our aim is 2025.
Well, the good thing is that you negotiate with yourself for the rights for the movies, right?
Yeah, and we have already. Yeah, we got the first Moments Like This already as a script. We're looking at Hallmark and Amazon are 2 places that we're right now kind of looking to shop it and see what'll turn. But yeah, that was exactly it. The whole goal was, I would walk in as a producer and I'd be like, I have an idea. And they'd be like, that's a great idea. What have you got? Where's the IP? Where's anything behind it?
Right.
And I was like, well, what is IP? And they're like, it's intellectual property. You need a magazine, you need a book, you need an article. And I was like, and so, I mean, this is a really crazy story, which I was in the shopping market, getting groceries, looked at that little, they sell the books in the grocery stores, and it was all these romance novels. And I took down names of the authors, and I was like, I could just cold call these women and see if they want to co-author something with me. And I mean, again, it's God just being like, hey, I got you. My neighbor, Javier La Fianza, said, I have a friend, Anna Gomez. She's a romance novelist. She wants to turn her books into movies. Would you jump on a Zoom call with her? And I said, absolutely, love to. We talked for 2 hours on Zoom. And by the end of it, I was like, I mean, like, all the books that you have, they're more for Netflix, or they're a different. Hallmark is I said, it's a very specific thing. She said, would you want to write one with me? I think I pitched, I was like, if you ever wanted to just write one, like, we could do it. We'd own the IP from page to screen. It would be a really fun experience. She's like, well, I'm doing a series. Do you want to join me on that? I said, hold on a second. It was like a whole bunch. She's like, yeah, we got 5. Do you want to do it with me? And I was like, yeah. I was like, you probably should talk to your husband and your agent. But yeah. And so that was Friday. We checked in with each other on Monday. It was still a go. And by Wednesday, I had contract signed. And then used the pandemic. We wrote I think 100,000 word book during the pandemic. And then we wrote the second one the next year. And the quarantines were amazing. You have 15 days of just like writing. And I've become like, I'm a writer now. I've got another thing in development, Orson Holt, 120,000 word anthology, Hallmark, the whole thing. It's a really beautiful thing.
He's a very fine actor, you're about to see. But he wears a lot of hats, this guy.
As do you.
As do I, but I love that. And it is, I think, part of the reason we connected is that you're a storyteller in front of the camera and more behind the camera.
Yeah, clearly he's like, Ken, I can't get a ding word edgewise. Shut up.
No, yeah. No, so it's fun to watch you develop as a fully embodied storyteller.
Thanks,
in addition to that great work you do in front of the camera.
Thank you, brother.
So, Ken, what is it, because you produced a lot of pictures and a lot of family pictures, fun things, romance projects. What are the elements that you look for when deciding what you're going to work on? Yeah.
It always starts, David, with what's on the page and the strength of what's on the page. Of all my many mantras, one new one is movies are easy to talk about. It's another thing altogether to actually make one and make it well. And it really, if it's not on the page, as the saying goes, it won't be on the stage. No good script, no good movie. They don't magically transform into a good movie. So all that to say, I meet people all the time and get pitched ideas all the time. And I love taking those meetings, but, send me the script and let me get in front of those 100 to 120 pages and make sure they grab me by the lapels and don't let go. Mm-hmm. And the more I swim in that space, the more respect I have for that craft. It's really hard.
Yeah.
It's one thing to write one good page, one good sequence, but 100 straight pages, it's really demanding. So it's what attracts me to a project is the material and the execution of the story. And the other thing is another new mantra. Great stories, good people, healthy environments. That's what I want to keep pressing into. And so I'm drawn to story situations or production opportunities that'll check all those boxes. Yes, great script. Yes, good people. And are we all going to link arms? Because guess what? It's going to get hard. And it's going to be late at night, and you're going to want one more take, and we're out of money, we're out of time, we got to get to the next thing, right? Yeah. We're going to have to face down some tough things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But the people that we link arms with in this long, hard journey of making a movie, you can't overstate the importance of that. So just early on, I'm assessing, is it good on the page, and is this going to be a 2-year, at least, journey I want to take with the people that I'm interfacing with?
Yeah, because for you, it's 2 years.
Yeah.
It's a lot of process.
Often longer.
Yeah.
But I love what we do. I love it with everything in me. But, man, you can't put a price on doing it with people that walk with integrity and honor and civility and reasonability. Don't all filmmakers? Oh, maybe not.
No. I got an amazing story about you. Since you said that we were filming the climax of The Shift.
Yeah.
And I was given the one take. And I don't think I'm talking out of school when I tell this story because it's what happened. And I was given one take, and we were up against it. Like, that was it. There was no more time. And something was going on. It was my close-up. And this is the climax of the movie. This is the whole thing. Brock and I had talked about, like, all of the intricacies of it. And I played it for a very specific reason with a lot of anger. And it was a wrong choice. And it was happening. You know, acting is a really unusual craft because your body is doing one thing and your mind is being like, no. And you're trying to like articulate all these things with your face and your voice and all the energy. And I remember it being done. And then Brock was like, okay, we got to move on. And I mean, and you and I locked eyes.
Yeah.
I looked at you and you looked at me and you were like, do you need one more?
Yeah, I think what you said is you'll never work in this business again if I don't get one more. Was that? No. Like, he didn't say
I said I will never work in this because it's going to be my performance. It's not going to be any good. And you went to bat for me, man. You were like, I remember it. You just kind of swept in and you took care of it. It was an amazing producer moment of you being like, you know what? We're gonna build the time out to give him one more take, which was ultimately then played with love. I mean, the whole thing was Jesus. All of a sudden, it was me, and that's what I should have been doing the first take. But it was like, how would Jesus do this? And then that was and that was you.
Which one made the cut?
That's a good question.
Show up December 1 to see.
Yeah, you'll find out.
No, it was a great moment.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the changing environment because you know, I mean, every day I wake up, I'm like, the world's different today than it was yesterday. Yeah. And I was just doing some research, additional research on AI today, and also some stock market research. The reality is that it's changing so rapidly. I mean, and I grew up loving movies. For many years, I critiqued movies. For many years, when I was in the media, that was part of my gig was to go. And then, of course, I was in Hollywood, and I had a lot of friends that made movies. I probably went twice a week. Yeah. Right. But now you gotta. It's and I don't think it's just an age thing. I think there's just so many. I used to love watching movies at home up my media room on my 75-inch TV. Now I love sitting on the deck watching it on my iPhone with a cigar. You know, it's like it's about the story, and it's not so much for me about where I see it. Mm-hmm. It's about where I want to be in the environment that I'm in. It's like you do in Hallmark. Mm-hmm. You know, you go to that environment to be in that kind of mindset, right? Especially during the holidays. Right. It's sort of the natural fit. But to get people into a theater now, I mean, by the way, I took Shelley in to see Taylor Swift. Right. Not because of Taylor Swift, but because I wanted to be in an environment with a bunch of kids dancing in the aisles. Yeah. Because that reminded me of when I took my girls to see Justin Bieber documentary like 15 years ago or whatever it was when they were little, right? I wanted to experience that again. So how do you know, and this film seems to be a bit of, first of all, I would love watching this film smoking a cigar, okay? Because I if I watched The Sopranos or whatever it was, and I went through this era where everything, somebody had to get a hand cut off in everything I watched, that, you know, you know, it's
you and my son would not have watched movies together. Micah was like, that was his fear.
Movies, you're right.
Yeah.
I went, but this is an experiential film. It seems like, right? Yeah. But tell me what you think as a filmmaker now. Why you decide to do something and spend 2 years of your life doing it? Yeah. I mean, let's start with that. I mean, especially you, Ken. It's a couple years of your life. Yeah. And now as I get closer to the fourth quarter, you know, I'm sitting there going, is it really worth 2 years? Yeah. And I'm sure you kind of go through that a little bit. Yeah. It's not like, can I just get a gig? Can I put food on the table? I mean, we go through that too. Mm-hmm. You probably that's probably more you than me at this point, because my point is like, I got every decision has got to count. Right. It's not just, hey, I got a gig. Isn't that nice? Right. But what goes through your mind in deciding, is it really worth my time? Yeah. And is it going to end up in the right place so that time proves to be a good call?
Yeah. Well, two things. Yes, it takes an extraordinary amount of time to make a movie and see it all the way through. But the truth of the matter is we're working on other things simultaneously. So the producer of life is to have other projects incubating and gestating. So all your eggs aren't just in that one basket. But, to your question of, and by the way, I'll get you a copy so you can watch it. It's worth seeing 2 times, I think, David. Second time with a cigar, first time on the big screen.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Can we broker
2
that
different
deal?
experiences
Okay,
by far.
good. And I'd love to join you for the second film.
You're on.
But yes, to the question of whether it should be on the big screen in your home or on the big screen at the multiplex. This particular story, and Chris and I were just in Hollywood last week finishing the movie. It's so immersive visually and so immersive, the audio and the world that we take viewers to, that just the storytellers in us want people to experience that in a darkened theater without phones going off. There's just something about that. And the great news, whether we're drinking the Kool-Aid or not, is this summer has proven that people are going back to the movies and people want that experience. They want to go see the Ohio State Buckeyes live if they can, not just on TV now and then. That'll work, smoking a cigar and watching, but being in the stadium, that's a different experience. And we feel that way about movie going. And I think, the good news in America is, there aren't that many things to do on Friday night, Right. And we still like that. We crave that. We want that communal experience. So, it is a case-by-case assessment, but the shift, I think, just said from the outset, show me in a dark theater on a big screen.
And I'm going to piggyback on your answer. I am such an advocate for going to see a movie in a movie theater. I love it. Mm-hmm. And I'm 46, but I can tell you, Tootsie, my parents took me to see Tootsie when I was a little tiny boy. I remember exactly what theater we were in, where we were sitting in it. Chariots of Fire. Yep. I could tell you where we were in the theater. E.T. could tell you where we were, what theater. I could tell you almost to a movie where I was when I saw it in a movie theater. And there is something sacred. And I don't use that word lightly, but it's sacred space and it's dark. And there's light projecting through darkness and it's bouncing off of a silver screen. It's bigger than life. You're flooded with sound. You're flooded with something visual, and you're in a room with strangers. And that communion that happens, I love doing stuff and I do. Hallmark sets a tone. You sit at home, it's cozy, but it's interrupted. You got laundry, you got food to cook, you got kids talking to you, you got
commercials.
But when you go see a movie, it is uninterrupted. You are giving yourself over to this story for 2 hours and you're asking to be transported somewhere. I love it. I love making movies. I don't think it's going anywhere. I mean, I think you're right. I think phones competing and I think there's a lot of competition for it, but I think in our hearts, it's the campfire. Yeah. We want to sit around that campfire together and hear a story being told well. I think that's not going anywhere. As long as I'm around, as long as they keep paying me to tell stories, I'll be there.
No, that's good. That's good. I like that explanation. I like that description, and I like the fact that you put the Shift in the same company as Tootsie and E.T.
Yeah, I just did that, didn't I? I think I mentioned Martin Scorsese at some point. What am I doing?
You know, David, that we're in that season of not jinxing the movie.
I'm not jinxing it. It's terrible. Don't go see it.
Yeah.
Here you go. Lower expectations.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. So let's finish this up by telling me what you think about the magic, the camaraderie, the reason that God has given you the opportunity to all work together on a picture like this, and what impact you hope it makes with the audience.
Yeah. I'll start, and you can take us home. But for me, David, this group of storytellers, I think, are embracing and recognizing that we are in the middle of a really dynamic, exciting, alluring time in whatever you call this arena we work in, faith adjacent, faith accessible, faith friendly. But I think what distinguishes this time in that arena is an evolving market appetite with audiences that are saying, or at least as I have my ear to the ground, are saying, give us increasingly stronger stories that represent our faith, that integrate our faith, that are consistent with the foundational things that are most important to us, but they have a commitment to a high level of craftsmanship in terms of the storytelling, the writing, the acting, the cinematography. It's really sort of a pioneering time. A lot of doors have been opened in the previous decade with some trailblazing kind of expressions that finally identified there's an audience out there for faith film or whatever you want to call it. But I think we're finding ourselves, the bar is raising and the demands are higher. And I love that challenge. And budgets are increasing, audiences are increasing. It's giving us the chance to build things with a higher level of artistry, which I think in the end honors our creator in the way he should be honored through this expression. And so the shift with all its newness and uniqueness and all the groundbreaking, that's an overstatement, all the freshness to the story really, really just brings together a group of people that I think are very forward-looking, and I'm really honored to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's beautifully said, man. You guys just did Surprised by Oxford, which is, to your point, a gorgeous movie.
Thank you.
That elevates, and it's high-minded. You're talking about really amazing stuff, C.S. Lewis and all that she goes through. There's a verse. Let me see if I can find it. I should memorize it. It says that I'll use stories. Here, you can vamp for just a second. I should have looked this up while you were talking.
But David, you were AI. Can we not just access it a little more quickly? The verse he's.
I know we're editing, right? So we can.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
I'll use stories.
Denise, you saw Oxford.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Yeah.
Bravo.
Thank you.
Bravo.
Do you know Ryan? Michael W.'s son, David. Do you know Ryan? Yeah.
Oh, I don't have internet. Anyway, I'm so sorry. My stomach. Can you hear it? Have you heard it the whole time?
No.
Okay, thank God. It's just going.
I go through that too. I'm
like, stop! What are you doing?
I end up running music under the whole thing. So.
Okay, good. There is a verse in the Bible. I'm sure we can find it, but it says, "I will use stories to reveal secrets that have been hidden since the beginning of the universe." It's this amazing idea, and Jesus used stories to teach, and there's something really valuable about an amazing story told well. And I think exactly to your point, and kind of where we started the interview, is that there used to be a certain patina that went along with faith films, and the expectancy of what a faith film is today, or faith adjacent film, is they want quality. You want to be able to go to the movies and not feel like you're being, given a
sermon.
Yeah. and working with the right kind of people, when you can collaborate. Being an actor, being a grown man and being an actor is a tough pill to swallow, because you're effectively told where to stand, what to say, what to wear. It's not always like, it's not everything it's made out to be. And when you have, ideas, as I like to fancy myself as having, you want to be in an environment where those are listened to and appreciated, and you can collaborate with. And working with a guy like Ken, all of a sudden it's like, well, here's an idea, and then all of a sudden it becomes best idea wins. And it may not be your idea, but at least you've got a group of people who are all saying, we've got a problem, how do we fix it? Oh, this is a really fun, creative way to fix it. This is inventive. This is not gonna. And then all of a sudden it's a community of people collectively building something and telling a story. And if everybody has a share in that, it becomes a wonderful way to make a living. It's just a fun way to we're working on something else right now, and we're in the very beginning stages of putting this piece all these little pieces together, and it's just thrilling to be able to make a call and have somebody say yes, and then all of a sudden it opens these doors, and you're like, okay, this is fun. Like we're building something.
Yeah.
Sweet. That's nice. That's nice. Well, I wish you two much success. I know that so far ticket sales have been good on pre-sales.
Pretty good.
And we'll put a link up where people can get tickets.
Great.
How many theaters is this going into?
That's still being determined. I'm being told that it'll be at least 2,000 screens.
Oh, not bad.
Yeah, and as we get more traction, we'll add from there.
Yeah,
But yeah. It's a good, robust open.
Well, fantastic. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for stopping by, and thank you for doing what you do, and just keep up the good work.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kristoffer. Thank you, Ken. Thanks for stopping by the Homestead. This Shift hits theaters on December the 1st. You can get your tickets at the link right there on your screen or at the theater. Make sure you get to the theater on December the 1st. It's going to be a great time from Angel Studios. This has been CIA, Contagious Influencers of America, from the producers of Keep the Faith. Please do rate and review us. Check out our website at contagiousинfluencers.com and our radio show website at KeepTheFaith.com. I'm David Sams. Until next time, go out there and live that life in living color, because it sure is a heck of a lot more interesting than living in black and white. I'll see you next time.